I'd stopped on the outskirts of Port Hedland to fuel up after riding the 350 kilometres from Karajini National Park. I'd started the day with a temperature in the single digits, but it was a lot hotter here on the coast. So it was time to get off my puffer and the waterproof lining in the jacket. Then make sure the tyre pressures were correct again after being on the dirt. There were still a few mining road trains coming from the north. Not as many as from the east, but it seemed there must be mines in every direction, and they're all ending up at Port Hedland. This is Pardue Roadhouse. Well, what is left of it. It was one of the two fuel stations along the 608 kilometre stretch between Port Hedland and Broome. But it was hit by a Category 5 cyclone, Cyclone Ilsa, in April. I'm not sure if they'll ever rebuild and open again. There is a bonus of running unleaded fuel and not diesel out here. There is never a lineup on the unleaded pumps. Well, that was nine mummingly boring. Literally looked like the same road the whole way. The thing about being out here, there's some really good stuff, but there's a lot of distance in between the really good stuff. So I've done just over 625 Ks. Someone should muzzle that dog. And done just over 625 Ks. So done just over 625 K. Another 320 to go if I want to get to Broome. And it looks like I'll probably get there before dark, so I may as well have a crack. Unless I feel tired, I'm having one energy drink. That should get me spiced for at least the next hour or two. I still have my thermals on from this morning, so I'm going to take those off because it's got really hot. I think it's over 30 degrees now. It was about 8 this morning. So, and I can't hear a lot. It's that road noise of brrr. So even my voice sounds weird. This is how boring it was. I got excited when I saw a cattle grid. Well, no thermals are better. I'm getting my hearing back. Energy drink should kick in soon and we'll be off. one place I definitely want to check out in this region was the Bungle Bungles. Seeing I had issues getting a camp spot at Karajini National Park, I thought it would be wise to book one for the Bungle Bungles. But again, this would mean having to work to a schedule. The first availability was in 3 days' time, so I decided to spend 2 nights in Broome, which would give me a full day where I could resupply, reorganise and reset. I'd made it to the Broome turnoff, and after such a long day, I thought I'd find the nearest camp spot and call it a day. I pulled into the first place, which looked rather full, and I found out it was full. So I started calling all the caravan parks and all the accommodation in the area, and I got the same answer at all of them. Sorry, we're full. It was suggested to try down the road, which seemed to be an overflow camping ground. Basically, a dirt paddock. I was a little stiff getting off the bike. It had been a long day. So, one campsite left in the whole of Broome. No power, but that's okay. I'm pretty wrecked. Yeah, but just the one night. So tomorrow night I gotta deal with something else. Anyway, tent to set up. I'm tired. Ground's so soft, I have to use the post to lean the bike up against, otherwise it just keeps falling over. I'd finally worked out why Broome was so full. The Gibbs River Road had been closed due to a massive rain system that had come through just before I got here. It basically stretched diagonally across the country and I'd come in below it, which meant access to the Kimberley was shut off. And with emergency services posting images like this, you can see why it was closed. Last night, knowing there was hardly any places available to stay in town, and me wanting to stay another night, I booked the only place I could find, which it said was 40 kilometres from the centre of Broome. So I gathered that was somewhere near where I was. But after a good night's sleep and rethinking, it was probably the wrong call. I should have got my stuff done in town and moved on down the road. Rookie error. Making decisions when overtired. Oh well, I go with my decision since I'd paid for it. So I headed into town to sort out the stuff I needed. All of a sudden, the engine stopped. I pulled the bike over to the side of the road. Nothing too dramatic, I'd just run out of fuel. While trying to sort out everything last night, it had slipped my mind to fill up. But as I have extra fuel on board, it was just a matter of filling up from the reserve tanks. I thought it would be a good idea to fill up everything again, in case I forgot again. So, what did we learn? If you want to travel like me, probably don't travel during school holidays. There was nothing. I rang every caravan park, and there's like 7 of them, I think, or maybe more. Everything was full, motels, just everything. So there was the place I ended up, it looks like the overfill. It is a paddock. And that had over 200 spots and I got the last one. Tonight, there's none. I did get on a bookings.com eventually, and there's one place, and I did it in the middle of the night last night going, I better get something because I've got to stay here and get some oil and just food and just do stuff. So booked it. And it's actually not in town. It's about 45 kilometres outside. It looks nice and all, but probably why it was available. It's out of the emergency budget, all's good. So I'll go there after I've got some food and fuel, and got the fuel, food, yeah. And because I need to do an oil change soon again. I've been riding a lot. Alright, I better get into that and go find this place. I then went to restock supplies and also got more oil so I could do an oil change soon. While I was on this side of town, I thought I'd check out one of the things Broome is famous for. So this is Cable Beach. Named that because in, I think it was 1889, underground telegraph cable linking Java to Australia and basically the rest of the world. First telecommunications comes ashore just up here, hence the name. I headed off to find the accommodation I had booked, and well, I had a major learning moment that normally isn't an issue in a populated area. When I booked the place to stay, it said 40 kilometres from the centre of Broome, which would be about 20 minutes. But the app measures the direct distance as the crow flies, and this particular crow flies over the water, whereas the road to get to it was 100 kilometres in distance. And worse, it was back the direction I'd come from, back past the open plains and down the very straight highway I went. I got to the turnoff, and well, at least there was a dirt road to ride. It was a sandy trail, like I think every trail in Western Australia must be. Well, made it to the last accommodation in Broome that's not actually in Broome. We'll see what it's like. Well, I think this is what they call glamping. So I've had a shower and a rest, taking advantage of the facilities while I can. And it has air conditioning, so I've got to zip up the tent to keep it cold inside. It's about 34 degrees here at the moment. I was contemplating going the Gibbs River Road, but it's been washed away, a lot of it. That's through the Kimberley, and you really need a month or so, probably more, to really get to see everything there, so I might leave that for another time. So sticking to the main road, I guess Kununurra is the next sort of direction, and there's one place I haven't seen that I want to see there, and that is the Bungles. So that'll be my next stop. Well, I've got to camp about halfway because it is over 1,000 k's, and I don't have to do that again. Well, not so close to the last one. Yeah, so that's the plan. And there's mozzies here, so I might get back inside the tent. Gonna check the beach out for sunset because Broome does do a good sunset. Just having a bit of a wander up the beach, up the point. It looks like there's a little wave here. I don't know if there is. There's no swell. Hopefully we'll get one of these famous Broome sunsets. Technically we're not in Broome, but you know what I mean. Well, these rocks are eroding a little differently. It's like a stack of cards. Morning. It's just after 6 a.m. Sun's about to come up. Now the 100k back towards Broome, then turn right, and I'm heading east. So the goal is the Bungles, but found out last night there's they've only just opened it, and there's a lot of river crossings or creek crossings. I'm not sure how deep it is, so I may have an issue. Oh well, there's only one way to find out. But today we're staying, I think it's called Mary Pools. Well, there's a pull over on the side of the road that's 650 k's from here. Thought it'd be a good spot. Be pushing it a bit hard to go the whole way in. It's just over halfway. We'll see how we go. It's a long and not a lot of stuff happening on the way. It seems I was the first one on this track this morning. The sand looked deeper on the way out. Yep, definitely the first one on the track. They just look like giant caterpillars asleep on the side of the road. There definitely has been some major rain up here. Normally it is bone dry. You can see why they've raised this road. Most of the time it would be dried out riverbeds, but when it rains it becomes a floodplain. The endless task of filling up with fuel out here. We are now entering the land of the boab tree, and apparently cattle wandering freely. So something you'll see a lot in this area are these boab trees. Last time I was coming through this area I got asked, oh, could you grab a picture of one? But I just passed through and there's no other decent ones on the way, so I'll try and get one this time. These roads are made up of white bitumen. Well, the stone is a lighter colour, which can reduce the temperature of the road by 20 to 30 degrees, which can help to stop it from melting. Another thing you'll come across here in the north is the army. This is what we called spinifex grass when I was a kid. And man, does fire like it. A fire can shred through this stuff faster than the wind. Made it to Fitzroy's crossing, get the fuel, feed up, and there's not a lot out here besides that. And it's the same place that got wiped out. Well, the bridge did. The main road, National Highway, got wiped out through here, so have to take the alternative route, the new temporary crossing. All's good. There's not a lot out here. A few stray cows. That's about it. Some termite mounds. That's all I've really seen. So I've got a bit further, just under a couple hundred k's to get to the campsite for the night. Well, it's no campsite, it's just a pullover. So yeah, just going to cruise that last bit. Taking my time because it's still quite hot, and if I get there too early I'll just be sitting in the heat. So rode out onto the temporary crossing. Basically, they'd put down massive concrete pipes and laid dirt over it. It's wild. This is the National Highway at the moment. A single dirt track. You can see the destruction of the vegetation still on the banks of the Fitzroy River. That is a site where they're rebuilding the bridge. And this is where the road trains are parking their trailers, as they can only take one trailer across at a time due to the weight limit on the temporary crossing. It must take them hours, but a lot less time than going the long way round.